Justin, I think that we have covered a lot of hot topics. What say you?
I think the same. Let's take a quick break and then we can get to our main topic, which is Joker, Folie à flop. Oh, sorry, Folie à Deux.
We'll be right back. Oh my god.
It was very casual. The delivery was so good.
So casual.
We live in a society. Justin.
Oh, brother, this guy stinks! Geoff, and welcome to
BANTS. Welcome back, Geoff.
Welcome back, Justin. How are you?
I gotta be honest, I am tired, and I know that you have a rule about not talking about running on the podcast.
I'll allow it this once.
So really quick, I did my final long run before the marathon. So did that this morning. Now I'm very tired, but
How many miles?
We're pushing through. It was 20 miles.
That's too many miles.
It's a lot of miles, and let me tell you,
It's a lot.
it was terrible. I felt really bad.
How hot was it in DC today?
Actually, it was like a very good day to do it because it wasn't humid at all. Like in the morning, it was like in the low 50s, and it went up to like the high 60s, low 70s. And by the time that I finished, it was probably only like mid 60s. So it was very tolerable.
That's not too bad. How long did it take you? Because that's quite a variation in temperature.
Yeah, great question. It took me like 4 hours total, counting breaks.
Oh, God.
The time on my watch was like 3:20, like 3 hours, 20 minutes. So it's about a 10-minute pace, which is pretty slow. But if I've learned anything about myself during this marathon buildup, it's that I'm a slow runner. And that's just the way that it is.
That's okay. That's okay. At least you are running.
Yes. And I will say, I used to run faster at shorter distances, but a key to running long distances is just knowing not to run fast because you cannot keep up like the paces that you can do in like a 5K or something like that for 20 miles. It's just not physically possible. So
that's not a thing.
But how has your weekend been?
Well, Justin, it's been great. I got a lot of plants for my office, which I love.
I love that.
And I deep cleaned the room that I'm currently recording in, which is my home office / guest room. I deep cleaned it. I went through this closet, which was like absolutely a Monica's closet situation. Truly everything that I have not known what to do with or didn't have a place for or was gifted has been shoved in this closet. It was a mountain of, I would say, hoarder filth. Well, maybe not filth, but it was absolutely hoarder status. Like I literally had boxes of paper, boxes of magazines, shit that nobody needs, just stacked up to the top. And when I opened the door, I'm not kidding, it really was Monica's closet. I had to stick my hands in before I opened the door all the way to hold stuff up. And I cleaned it all out with the help of my mom. Shout out, Sue.
Very satisfying, I'm sure.
Oh, very satisfying. I feel great. And now I've got that cleaning bug. You know how that happens?
Sometimes, if I'm in a good mood, yeah.
Well, actually, okay. Well, I shouldn't really be talking to you about this. I should talk to Brandy about this. But once you get one specific spot in your place clean, then you're like, I gotta do this everywhere. I feel fucking amazing.
Yeah, I think you channeled both me and Brandy, it sounds like, this weekend, because a dedicated responsibility that I have is to take care of all the plants. Like, Brandy does not have a green thumb, put it that way.
She does not, yeah.
So I usually water them. Most of them I've gotten, although Brandy's gotten some as gifts as well. And then Brandy obviously is the one who does like the deep cleans. And that's not because I'm not willing to clean, because I am, but it's more because Brandy...
Could have fooled me. Point for me.
Similar to the cooking situation where she doesn't trust me to clean certain things. She's like, I would just rather do it myself than delegate to you.
You know, it's interesting you bring up the cooking because we did get a little bit of pushback about the cooking mentions on the pod last week. We sure did.
Anna was a little bit, dare I say, frustrated or upset with your characterization of her as somebody who doesn't help.
I might say miffed is a better descriptor.
Yeah, miffed, yeah. A light upset, nothing serious.
A baby upset.
Yeah.
Yes, a baby annoyance. But you know what? As I told her, I stand by what I said. We all have our strengths.
And as I said, to paraphrase you, she just wasn't accepting abuse.
That's exactly right. She wasn't accepting the abuse. Sometimes, you know what? This reminds me of Gordon Ramsay. You ever watch Hell's Kitchen?
I didn't care to, and nor do I now.
Well, that's fine. You don't have to, because I'm going to tell you the important part. He is actually abusive in the kitchen.
He literally is. That's why I can't watch it. I'm like...
Yeah, he's literally so intolerably mean to people. And I'm not like that. I just have a short fuse and short temper. period, but especially in the kitchen. It could be worse, is what I'm saying.
It could always be worse.
So, you know what? Let's celebrate that. And while we're celebrating, we got to talk about some hot topics.
Hot topics.
Let's talk about this, Justin.
Something we haven't talked about yet, which is kind of actually surprising, but go on.
Oh, no. Go ahead. Why don't you give the little preamble about this?
I don't really know. Okay, so I've been intentionally avoiding this story in the news because it's disturbing.
Oh, yes. Let's do an actual trigger warning.
Yeah.
We are going to discuss SA. We're going to call that sexual assault. We'll name that. So if that is something that you don't want to listen to, please fast forward, and Editor Justin will jump in right now and tell you where to fast forward to.
Hey y'all, Editor Justin here. Just popping in to say if you want to skip all of the Sean Combs talk, you can go forward about 5 minutes to 10:50. All right, let's get back to the pod. Yeah, so the artist known as Diddy, his given name is Sean Combs, has been arrested and indicted for multiple counts, including sexual assault. There's a lot of salacious details that have come out about these allegations that I don't really want to get into too many details about, other than the fact of this new headline that has come out related to these allegations, which, Geoff, you know more about this than me, so why don't you give the high-level view here?
Yeah, basically, so Diddy has been in the news, of course, for all of his misgivings, his sexual misdeeds, and alleged assaults that he's committed. We have video evidence of him actually assaulting fellow New London native Cassie, so we know that has happened for sure, and I fully believe her testimony.
I think this was all initiated by her initial lawsuit, which happened in 2023. And just looking at some details here, it does look like this is in New York. So it's related to alleged crimes in New York.
Yeah, and his home was also raided in Miami, for sure. That one I remember seeing on the news. But anyway, so Diddy has been accused of all kinds of sexual assaults and having these parties that were coined freak-off parties, where he allegedly hired sex workers and possibly had people who are not even old enough to be legally consenting adults participating in sexual activities with other celebrities. And very recently, there's been a story going around in the major media outlets about him allegedly having a sex tape that has an A-list celebrity, an A-list male celebrity featured in the video. And that's been going around and apparently is at risk of being sold, according to the lawyer of the A-list celebrity, who is still unnamed.
Yeah, this is a wild... The entire story is wild. I mean, we've touched on this in our second ever episode, that is Hip Hop Dead episode, that I think that, you know, hip hop is linked a lot to this toxic masculinity and, you know, issues of sexual assault and domestic violence. We've had people like Rev Run in the hip hop community who have also had allegations, you know, lodged against them. This is not new in that way, although the scope of the allegations is very striking here. And I don't know, I guess this story about this A-list celebrity who is allegedly in one of these videos taken during one of these freak-offs, it's definitely caused speculation on social media, that's for sure.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, this has been going wild. There's all kinds of speculation about who the person is. There are a lot of people alleging that the person in the video is Leonardo DiCaprio, who's been known to be a friend of Diddy and has gone to many of his parties. There are other people who are saying that it could potentially be Jay-Z, which is an interesting thought.
Well, I'm reading this article that you sent on Yahoo, and there is a description of the video which says, the video appears to be Combs having sex with a younger male, the A-lister whose faces are both visible, according to the post. So
there is also speculation that it's Justin Bieber.
Yeah, that's what jumps to mind for me, because he does have a lot of connections in the hip-hop community. I mean, he was originally found by Usher, who also has made some weird moves following Diddy's arrest.
Yeah, there's a lot of speculation that Usher was groomed by Diddy and that in turn he groomed Justin Bieber. And I believe, I don't remember for sure, but I remember years ago that Diddy actually had I don't think it was custody, but Justin Bieber's parents basically gave Diddy custody of Justin Bieber for a particular amount of time while he was up and coming in the music industry, which is really disturbing. considering all that we now have learned and what's being alleged.
Yeah, this is, it's very sad. I don't really know how else to talk about it. In that hip-hop episode, we talked about how people were speculating about, like Drake's alleged crimes and making content out of it. And I want to try to avoid doing that too much because, I don't know, it makes me uncomfortable. I hope that, it's very dark. I hope that Diddy does come to justice, and I don't want to speculate too much, and I want to be clear that everything that we have said so far is all speculation. Alleged. Everything's alleged, nothing has been made public, but it's a story that I think everybody who's interested in hip-hop as like a cultural phenomenon is going to be following.
And the music industry at large.
Yeah.
Interesting. Well, speaking of another person that I mentioned, Jay-Z, we got to talk about something that was recently said about his wife, Beyonce.
That's right, Geoff. As listeners may know from a previous episode, Beyonce was recently snubbed from all CMA Country Music Award nominations.
Boo, boo. Enter the booing children here.
Despite the fact that her critically acclaimed album, Cowboy Carter, was released this year. So there's been a lot of discussion about whether these snubs were deserved, the place that Beyonce holds in the country music community, if any. I guess Luke Bryan, famously a guest host on, or not a guest host, a full-time host on The Voice, made a comment about this. Let me put it into full context just to make sure. But basically, Luke Bryan said when asked about Beyonce's snub, said, it's a tricky question because obviously Beyonce made a country album and Beyonce has a lot of fans out there that have her back. If she doesn't get something they want, man, they come at you, as fans should do. I don't know how many albums Beyonce sold. I know she had one song. Listen, I'm all for everybody coming in and making country albums and all that. But just by declaring that, just because she made one, just because I make one, I don't get any nominations, he said. I think the CMA, they have their voting body and they vote what they think should make it. Everybody loved that Beyonce made a country album. Nobody's mad about it. But where things get a little tricky, if you're going to make country albums, come into our world and be country with us a little bit. She's probably the biggest star in music, but come to an award show and high-five us. And have fun and get in the family too. And I'm not saying she didn't do that, but country music's a lot about family. We get pissed at each other too. End quote. So this quote has been making headlines, specifically the part where Bryan said, if you're gonna make country albums, come into our world and be country with us. Yeah, I have my thoughts on this, but Geoff, why don't you start off with your thoughts on this?
I mean, this is at best extraordinarily ignorant and at worst thinly veiled racism. I mean, for him to say that Beyonce needs to come into the country world is completely coconuts, and also to claim that no one's mad about it. There are a lot of people who are mad about it. I mean, that was a huge part of the reason that Beyonce even made Cowboy Carter, because in 2016, when she released the song Daddy Lessons on Lemonade and then performed in the CMAs of the Dixie Chicks, the Chicks, I forgot they rebranded to get rid of their antebellum roots. But she received so much backlash and was made intentionally to feel uncomfortable, to the point where people were allegedly shouting slurs while she was performing on stage, and people also walked out of her performance because they were angry that she was there, because they viewed her as a hip-hop artist. I mean, that's a huge part of the reason that she even created Cowboy Carter. I don't understand the whole thing of, try to be country with us. Beyonce, especially at the beginning of her career, when she was in Destiny's Child, was, constantly criticized for being too country, too curvy, too black, too southern. So for Luke Bryan to, which, by the way, why does he have two first names? I need to know that. For him to be criticizing her and saying, she needs to become country and come into the family is just, it's demonstrably false that she's not a person with country roots, and it's also ignorant of all the backlash that she's previously received. What do you think?
It makes me think that Luke Bryan has never had a independent thought in his life, because this quote is just it makes him come off as stupid. I don't know this guy obviously, but when he says, if you're going to make country albums, come into our world and be country with us, what do you mean exactly by be country?
Right. Yeah.
What does that mean to you, Luke? Because, again, we talked about this during our 2 Cowboy Carter episodes. Beyonce is from Texas. Mm-hmm. She was involved with the rodeo during her childhood, and even when she was a member of Destiny's Child and after she had begun her solo career.
Yep.
What does it mean to be country? Does it mean be a part of the famously racist country music establishment?
Right. Because
I think that Beyonce has probably pretty good reasons, as you talked about, to not be heavily involved in that community.
Yep.
Right. So when somebody says something like this and he's like, you gotta shake hands and network a little bit with these country music folks. You know, he has no desire to change the existing community, and he's kind of just like, this is the way it is. You know, problems, warts and all, and he's just not thinking past that. And like you said, that's like
no critical thought.
That's the generous interpretation.
Right.
The not generous interpretation is that he's like, we don't want you here, basically. Right.
Yeah. Or like by default, you don't belong. Which, like, why is that, Luke?
And clearly he hasn't listened to the album. He's like, apparently she made one song, which I think he's talking about Texas Hold'em, which may have been the only major radio hit. But if you listen to the album, it's hard to deny that it's a country album. I mean, it is multi-genre, as we discussed during our episodes, but like, it's country in its soul. You know, like, she set out to make a country album in the Beyonce way.
Yep.
Yeah. So this is really striking, especially like coming alongside the news that, and this is something that I guess I won't get too into detail with, but country music legend Garth Brooks was just accused of sexual assault this week. So it's like, this is somebody who's been a part of the country music establishment forever, not even to mention all the stuff that, like, the racism that's been prevalent in the country music community for Beyonce's entire life, right? It's like, why is somebody like Garth Brooks welcome in the country music community, but not somebody like Beyonce?
Exactly.
It's wild. Yeah.
Yeah, it's like I said, I just feel like the racism is like thinly veiled here. It's like pretty palpable. Talking about her as an other from the jump is wild. And then being like, come into our world, it's like, what are you talking about? Like, she's from Texas. She is country. So, oh God, it's just so frustrating. I'm sure that all people who belong to any kind of disenfranchised group or in any way feel like they're at the margins of society or social circle that they, you know, abut or run in. I'm sure that they can relate to the amount of frustration that I'm feeling by this quote. And there's so many people online who are like reposting it, and they're like, yes, this is exactly why we don't like Beyonce, or this is why we didn't accept Cowboy Carter as a country album. And I'm like, so you agree that you've othered her, you agree that it's not a space where she's meant to feel welcome, and you're just reinforcing it.
Those people are outing themselves.
Exactly.
You know? Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. It's so fucking annoying to see, because that really is an incredible album, a masterpiece, a work of art. And I'm sure better than any bullshit that fucking Luke Bryan, whose career has landed him on The Voice, has put out.
It brings to mind a parallel that we brought up during our episode where we talked about the CMA nominations, where it's like, look at somebody who also came up through the hip-hop community, who's recently made a country album, who has been heavily nominated this year at the CMAs, Post Malone.
Post Malone.
Mm-hmm. What's going on? Like, where's the comparison there? You know, is he shaking hands in the country music community? You know, I don't know.
And if he is, which I'm sure he is, because like Posty is like kind of known to just be like a friendly, outgoing dude. Like, I could totally see him doing that, but like, why does he feel comfortable doing that and she doesn't? Like, there have to be reasons, guys. So can we just like look at that maybe? Can we think about that maybe?
Not that other genres of music and other musical communities don't have problems, because I think we all know that like it's often hard to break into a community like that, whether that be the country music community or the hip hop community or the pop music community,
with respect.
Right.
From the community, from those genres.
But it's also wrong to deny that your community that you're a part of has any problems.
Exactly.
In my opinion. Yeah.
Yep. I agree. Anyways, Luke Bryan is a total flop, and I don't care a lick about what he has to say moving forward.
Jeff, let's talk about a musician who we actually like.
Ooh, okay. Who?
Take a wild guess.
Oh, well, when you say it like that, it's gotta be Charli.
It's Charli. It's
Charli, baby.
I don't know about you, but my Instagram feed has been covered with these billboards that have been put up nationwide, and actually internationally, because some of them were in London, of artists who will be featured on the upcoming remix album of Brat. Have you seen these?
I sure have. And Justin, I'd like for you to do this segment of Hot Topics in your best British accent possible, the entire thing.
I politely declined to do that. I'm famously terrible at accents, but you're welcome to.
I just wanted to do it so I could laugh at you. Point for me.
Well, I'm glad that you're being honest. Yeah, so there have been some billboards that have gone up in Brat green across the world with artist names in the classic Brat font.
Oh, love it. Ariel Narrow.
Oh, yes, Ariel Narrow. Yes. Although it has the appearance of like somebody who took Ariel and just like stretched it vertically, which I think...
Ariel?
Ariel?
It's just Ariel.
Ariel. and stretched it vertically.
You're forgiven. Point for me.
That
It
old
does.
MySpace aesthetic. Yeah.
Yo, yeah, it looks low quality and I love it.
Love it.
But some of these names on the billboard, Ariana Grande.
Ariana.
Why did I say Ariana? I said Ariana.
Because of Ariel, yeah.
Point Ariana Grande. Yeah, point for you. That's Justin's 1 point for the whole show, so celebrate it while you can, pal. Yes. Ariana Grande, I'm so excited for that remix. That's going to be great. How about Shy Girl?
Shy Girl, I'm also very excited for. A lesser known artist, so I'm glad that Charli XCX is kind of like giving them the spotlight.
And has blown up in such a way that now like the zeitgeist is interested.
Yeah. There's also a couple of artists who have already been featured on remixes, like Lorde, Robin, Young Lean, Addison Rae.
Robin. What's your favorite Robin song?
I'm sorry to be basic. Like, I'm not super familiar with Robin's discography, but you know what I'm going to say. Dancing on My Own. It's a banger.
It's a good one. It really is a good one. What about Show Me Love, 1996?
I do love that one as well.
That's a great song. That's my favorite Robin song.
Although often confused with the Show Me Love by Robin S.
Oh, Robin S., yeah.
Similarly named artist and song.
That's very true. I never really thought about that. Anyway, let's not go down a 90s dance music hole because I could live there.
I know that you could. That's an entire podcast.
I live here. I live in the 90s hole.
There are also some really big name artists that have been featured on these billboards, like Bon Iver, which I think is a little bit surprising. Julian Casablancas, famously the lead singer of The Strokes, who I recently won a small argument with Brandy because I was like, I think The Strokes are indie sleaze. And she was like, I don't think they are. And I was like, they are.
They firmly are, but I love that you had to mention that you won the argument. It's the small things in life for Justin, folks.
It is the small things. It's the small things. It's the small things.
Point for me. Point for Brandy.
There's a couple that I don't recognize, like Baby Tricks. Do you know who Baby Tricks is?
Never heard of her. I don't know her, but I'm interested.
I'm curious.
If Charli likes her, I'm interested. I'm sat, as they say.
I'm like more excited now for this remix album than I was. I was kind of like, you know what, this will come and go. It probably won't be as big as Brat, but some of these names, the Japanese House,
the Japanese House is going to be fun.
Famously, What's Good from the early days of
BANTS. That's right. That album about her dog.
It's not just about her dog, but yes, she does mention her dog.
Her dog,
Jones, who we love.
Oh, R.I.P.
Tinashe, her dog is still alive.
Oh wait, I thought that the album was about her dog dying.
Geoff, you should go back and listen to that podcast to refresh your memory. And listeners, if you want to go back and listen, we'll put a link in the show notes. It's a great episode.
Oh, Tinashe
is also featured.
Been a nasty girl. Tinashe's had some hits. I'm surprised. Tinashe for me is like another Charli XCX, like the girls who get it, and the girls who don't gorn.
Okay, but let's get to the last couple artists that we haven't already mentioned here that are going to be featured on the album.
Mm-hmm.
The 1975, which I think will prove to be slightly controversial in the pop music social media space because of Matty Healy's shenanigans. We have Blade, who's famously a hyperpop artist, very heavily influenced by Charli. I think he's a man. He's a hyperpop like rapper / emo guy. I'm not super into his music, but like that whole genre is heavily influenced by Charli, so I'm not that surprised to see him on the remix album.
A natural fit.
Caroline Polachek, who
I'm excited.
I would be shocked if she wasn't on Apple because Charli has talked multiple times about how Caroline Polachek was a big influence on Apple.
Absolutely.
Maybe the most interesting pull is John Hopkins, who is like famously
university? Their private research university?
Yes, the private research university that does biomedical research is being featured on Charli XCX's Brat remix album. No, he's a ambient electronic music artist. So I'm very curious to see what he does. It was not my expectation to have somebody as niche as this that I'm pretty familiar with on Brat, but I'm excited because there are quite a few like low key songs on this album. We've also got I Think About It All the Time. I could see either of those song being on there. I might say something stupid, but I think the 1975 might be on that track based on
how fitting
some of her teases. Exactly.
I love that. Justin, you know what? Is that artist John Hopkins, did he name himself after the university or the university's founder?
I think that's just his name.
Oh, that would be quite an interesting coincidence.
He's British, and he spells his name differently. It's Jon, no H, and I'm pretty sure John Hopkins is spelled with an H.
It does. Shout out, you know what? Shout out to John Hopkins University and its many alumni across the world. Shout out to Salem and Rajmeet, two of the smartest people I know that went there.
There you go.
Both doctors now.
Yeah.
Good for them. We'd love to see doctors of color. Real doctors, not like you.
I was going to say, weird that this is the first time that you're saying this. But yeah, Geoff, do you think that this is like all of the artists who are going to be on the remix album? Because there has been some speculation that maybe Charli is saving someone for last.
Well, Justin, as you know, I've been saying this since the beginning. I can clearly hear Taylor Swift uncredited on this album already for background vocals. And I know that she's going to be on this remix. 100% she will be.
100%.
I'd be willing to bet I'd be... Okay, maybe I'm not that certain of it, but I for sure have heard Taylor... Stop laughing at me. I for sure heard Taylor uncredited on this album, and I'm trying to remember what song it is.
Sympathy is a Knife?
Sympathy is a Knife, yeah. She's in the background of Sympathy is a Knife. I know she is. And that's what the song is allegedly about Taylor, so I would not be shocked at all if she was featured on that song.
I always hoped that Taylor would be featured on Sympathy is a Knife because it's very much like a Lorde Girl So Confusing situation where that song was very clearly about Lorde, and then Lorde worked it out in the remix with Charli, which was such a great moment. And Sympathy is a Knife is also a similar situation where Charli's talking about her insecurities, being in the presence of Taylor, who's like a chart-topping like phenomenon. It would be great to hear Taylor's response and also like to have them squash the beef, like in a public arena, right?
Oh yeah, I would love that.
It'd be great, but I think that Taylor very rarely does features. Like, I think that she's done...
She went with Post.
Well, Posty was a feature on her song.
Yeah, okay,
right?
whatever.
Like, she usually doesn't do a lot of features. I think the only thing that comes to mind is she featured on a Gracie Abrams song. And Gracie Abrams is basically like a glorified Taylor Swift cover band. No offense to the Gracie Abrams fans out there.
That's rude.
But, like, it made sense that she would be on there because Gracie Abrams already sounds a lot like Taylor Swift. So
True. That I can understand.
And Gracie also opened for her on the Eras tour, I believe.
Charli opened for Taylor on the 1989 tour. Several shows.
Right. I mean, it makes sense. You know, the storylines line up where Charli would feel intimidated by her and know her well enough to be rubbing shoulders with her pretty often, not to mention the Maddie Healy connection there.
Yeah, 100%. I'd love to see it. I'm still convinced that Taylor's uncredited on Sympathy is a Knife for background vocals. It just sounds too much like her for it to be coincidence. Unless Charli was trying to do something where she was like intentionally trying to sound like Taylor.
You think so?
That could be. But I really think Taylor's featured.
I remember you bringing this up to me like in a text message form, and I remember listening and being like, I don't think that's Taylor.
You were like, no, I don't believe it. You don't know what you're talking about, flop.
But the thing is that now that Brat is such a huge phenomenon, and everybody knows that song is about Taylor.
Yeah,
I think that Taylor is the type of person to be like, okay, now that people know about this, I'm gonna be on the remix, you know. And some more evidence pointing to this is that Charli has been posting teasers of lyrics from these remixes on her Instagram story.
Right.
And recently, after she posted the slideshow that featured all the other artists that are going to be on the remix album, she posted a lyric from Sympathy is a Knife, which has been, you know, conspicuously missing from those teasers. And the lyrics do kind of add up to be like potentially a Taylor Swift feature.
Ooh.
The lyrics are, it's a knife when they dissect your body on the front page. It's a knife when they won't believe you. Why should you explain? Which kind of like parallels with Taylor Swift being pretty closed off in her personal life in certain ways, like especially with political issues as we've discussed. So it might be maybe like a rare like peek behind the curtain, a moment of even more like true authenticity from Taylor on the remix if she does appear. Don't want to get anybody's hopes up, but I think it would be really cool if she does show up.
I think it would be amazing. I'm getting hopes up. I think it's going to happen.
Fingers crossed.
And I think we'll also learn that she's... Justin, guess what? If it comes out that Taylor was uncredited on the vocals of Sympathy is a Knife, we have to do an entire episode of a topic that I want. And you already know what it's going to be.
Okay, I agree to that just because I don't think that it's ever going to be like explicitly confirmed. But even if it is right. But we'll see. I agree to this. We're shaking hands virtually right now.
Virtually shaking hands. Oh, Justin, why'd you do that? Why's your hand wet? Gross. Point for me.
The points, they're flying left and right today.
They sure are. Get in the game, bitch.
What's up, y'all? Editor Justin here once again. In between the recording of this episode and the release of this episode, Charli actually officially confirmed the track list of the remix album, including features. So importantly, there is no Taylor Swift on the final remix album. So I will not be recording that Spice Girls episode. That's a point for me. There were some other surprising choices here. So John Hopkins is actually teaming up with the 1975 on a remix of I Might Say Something Stupid. The featured artist on Apple is actually the Japanese House, not Caroline Polachek, like I suspected. So yeah, and we'll put a link in the show notes for you to look at that. All right, let's get back to the pod.
Justin, I think that we have covered a lot of hot topics. What say you?
I think the same. Let's take a quick break, and then we can get to our main topic, which is Joker, Folie à flop. Oh, sorry, Folie à Deux.
We'll be right back.
And we're back.
Okay.
Geoff, to preface this segment of the pod, I believe it was yesterday morning.
Yes.
You sent me a text message.
I did.
You said, "Did you see Joker Folie à Deux?" And then you sent a screenshot of the Rotten Tomatoes scores of Joker Folie à Deux.
I sure did.
And for context, the critic score was 33%. And more surprisingly, the audience score was also exactly the same. It was 33%.
Insert clip of me earlier in the episode saying, "Oh, brother, this guy stinks!"
And then you said, "Because this is crazy." So, long story short, I had already bought tickets to see Joker. Geoff had not already bought tickets. So Geoff ended up not seeing the movie. I did.
And I don't regret it at all.
With our friend Ben, we watched the movie together.
Ben!
Yeah, it is an interesting movie to talk about, but I think that it definitely has been critically panned, and I think the discourse around it is a bit, let's just say the vibes are bad.
Oof. You know what, Justin? I just had a feeling it was not going to be good. You know what? Here's the thing. I love Lady Gaga, the music artist. I have to say, I don't really think, aside from A Star is Born, that she is the most compelling actor. Now, I've heard takes that the best part of this movie are the performances. So I'm very curious to hear what you think about it. So why don't we get right into it? And since I haven't seen the film, I'm going to kind of interview you about it. How's that sound?
That sounds good, but I do want to, maybe for context, talk a little bit about the first Joker film, because this is a
Well,
sequel.
how do you know that my interview wasn't going to start that question, Justin?
All right, go ahead.
Always trying to take control. Just because you have a fucking PhD, you think you're a doctor and you can roll in here and tell me what to do? I don't think so. Not that kind of doctor. Hashtag not that kind of doctor.
I am being interviewed, so ask your questions,
By the
sir.
way, what the fuck do you think happens? Do you think that people sit down at the red table for a talk with Jada Pinkett Smith and they say, "Here's what I want to talk about"? Do you think that people sit down on Oprah's couch and say, "By the way, here's what I'm going to say, Oprah"? Fuck your questions. Do you think that people sit down across from Savannah Guthrie and the great Hoda Kotb and start talking instead of letting them ask questions?
I thought that because we're on a podcast that we co-host together, that maybe it would be more of back and forth. But you know, I get what we're doing
back
here.
And forth. I ask, you answer. That's how this is going.
Okay, all right. Well, let's get into it then.
Okay,
let's get into
all
it.
right. Okay. Well, Justin, thank you for joining me. First, let me ask a question. How are you today?
I feel like I've already been asked this question on the pod, but
wow,
I'm tired.
Already taking the interview off the rails. Interesting.
I'm tired, but feeling good. Feeling good.
Okay, Justin, I would love for you to tell me a little bit about Joker for our listeners who may not have seen the first one starring Joaquin Phoenix.
Well, thank you for giving me the opportunity to talk about Joker, Geoff. So Joker was a 2019 film that really captured the zeitgeist in that moment. So this is pre-pandemic. It's a film that is inexplicably directed by the Hangover director Todd Phillips. I don't know who allowed him to do that, but he did. And it stars Joaquin Phoenix, who I will say pretty inarguably is an excellent actor. He always does high quality work. And it's an adaptation of the DC Comics villain Joker, who is most famously known as a Batman villain. Although Batman is famously not in the Joker film. So that's the premise. It's kind of like an origin story for the DC villain Joker.
And Justin, what do you think about Joaquin Phoenix as a person? You mentioned that you find him to be an excellent and compelling actor, but I'm curious what you think about his personality.
Well, I have to be honest. I think he came to my attention. Let me make sure I'm getting the name of the film right. It was during the build up to his film. I think it's like I'm New Here is the name of the film. Quick editor's note that the film I'm talking about here is actually called I'm Still Here, and it released in 2010. All right, let's get back into it. He really was so in character as the main character in that film, which, to be clear, I've never seen. But he is one of the members of the camp of like method acting. I don't know if he personally subscribes to that philosophy of acting. There's like a lot of arguments about what method acting even is and like etc. But at least from the public eye, he definitely subscribes to that view of method acting. And he's somebody who always like physically transforms for his roles, which he did for Joker. I think generally the way I feel about people who subscribe to that philosophy is like, I don't know, like do a little bit less. Like, can you just be a normal person? Like, I know that this matters a lot to you, but like, I don't know, there's more important things in life than turning in a good performance in a film, you know? But, you know, it's hard to deny that he has had a lot of good performances.
Absolutely. Well, I'm curious what you think about the original film. Did you watch the first film, The Joker? Or is it called Joker?
It's just Joker.
Joker.
Yeah.
Tell me about your response to that.
I will say that I watched it on streaming after the theatrical run. So a lot of the like culture war stuff that was surrounding that film had already kind of passed.
And what was the culture war stuff that you're referencing?
Yeah, great question. Joker is a movie that is about, I think that the signal that it's trying to put out there is that the reason why we have troubled individuals who commit like violence is often because of the failure of social systems. Like that is generally what it's trying to put out there, right? But it is weird because the only character that the film cares about is Arthur Fleck, who ends up becoming Joker, right? So the only perspective that we really see is Joker's. And what that means is that, you know, it's very easy to sympathize with him over the course of the film, which I think in some ways is good because it's like, okay, we should have sympathy for people who are like mentally ill or who are going through things.
Mm-hmm.
Until maybe like the final few scenes, the final act of the film, where Arthur Fleck, aka Joker, kind of commits a series of murders and seems to create like a movement, basically, like a pseudo-anarchist movement in Gotham, which is the city that most of the Batman stories take place in. And he is kind of like seemingly liberated by this murder spree. And there was a lot of discussion in the media and in social media as well about this turn. I mean, it wasn't exactly surprising because we know that Joker is like a villain in most mainstream Batman comics and films. Right. Like he's a murderer. We know this. It's not crazy. But I think what is weird is that there's no like alternative hero or victim presented here. It's intensely focused on the perspective of Joker. The problem is that I think a lot of people who are members of the incel community, for example, saw this character and they sympathized with him deeply, and they were like, this is how I become liberated, this is how I transcend my current situation.
So rather than seeing it as like a tragic turn, they see this as like, aha, I can embody the same spirit that this character did, and it will liberate me and make me feel empowered.
This is what people were saying like on social media. And to be clear, there weren't like any copycat crimes that were committed, you know? Like it wasn't like people were going on murder sprees to like, now I'm an anarchist, you know? It wasn't like that was happening. But I think that people were worried generally in the media about this, right? Sure. And it's a similar line that like, I think another argument against the original film is that it's very derivative. It's drawing a lot from Scorsese, especially Taxi Driver and King of Comedy. I've never seen King of Comedy, but I have seen Taxi Driver. Taxi Driver similarly is very focused on this one guy who's kind of like a loner, and he ends up being like hailed by the media in the end of the film as like a hero for saving this girl, even though he's kind of a piece of shit, right?
Okay.
The twist of that film is that at the end, like you're seeing this guy throughout the whole film and you're like, this guy's insane. Like he literally needs to be treated, like seek treatment. He's not a hero. And then the twist is basically that he ends up being the quote unquote hero at the end. And you as the audience are supposed to feel uncomfortable about like, what are the things that led this man to be framed as a hero? And it doesn't really work as well in Joker because we already know that Joker's a villain based on his character archetype.
Right.
It's not a twist that he ends up committing murders. So yeah, there was a big discussion about that. But I think that for me, it was kind of mid, mostly because of the fact that it was, even taking aside that whole conversation about whether or not we were too close to Joker's point of view,
Mm-hmm.
It was mid because it was very derivative and it really wasn't doing anything new. Like the DC Comics wallpaper that they put up around like a Scorsese themed drama
Right.
didn't need to really be there.
Yeah, it wasn't additive.
It wasn't additive. It felt like they were just like, I'm really into Scorsese and I was told to make a Joker film, so this is what I made, basically.
And so, that being said, what drew you to want to see Joker Folie do?
Well, Geoff, I had some high hopes for the sequel. For a couple of reasons. First is that it seemed like they were doing something interesting genre-wise. They cast Lady Gaga, which, as we talked about last episode, you don't cast Lady Gaga on a film if you don't want her to sing, right?
Correct.
And then the first trailers featured some musical numbers. And I was like, this is a really weird twist for like a big comic book adaptation type film. And I should mention the first Joker, like Joaquin Phoenix won the Oscar for Best Actor for Joker. And it was a huge box office success. Prior to Deadpool and Wolverine, it was the highest grossing R-rated film ever.
Wow.
It's a really big swing to go the musical route from such like a dark film.
From a dark like drama.
Exactly.
To going to like a musical, which is usually considered to be like a lighthearted and comedic affair.
So I was interested. I didn't know if it would be good, but I was more excited to watch it than I was to watch the original, I think.
And given that you were excited about the film and interested to see what kind of a take it had, considering it's like complete genre swift, what had you read about it in preparation to seeing the movie?
Well, I'm somebody who tries not to read too much criticism before I watch a film because I like to try to have my own thoughts about it. But it's hard to ignore the response that this film has had in the press. So I had seen the bad reviews. I had seen that in some ways it was like a rebuke to those people who misinterpreted the first film. As I mentioned, I think that the director of the film, Todd Phillips, has multiple times spoken up about Joker and has been like, this film to me was very obviously about the failure of social institutions.
Right.
Like a social safety net.
Yep.
And like that was what the film was about to me. And for other people to misinterpret it, like I just want to be clear about what the original film was about. And I had seen some takes that were like, Folie is really about emphasizing the fact that this, this is not like a hero's journey, right? Joker is not a hero. He is a tragic figure. Yeah, that was also a plus for me when I saw those takes. I was like, okay, maybe I'll be more into this one because it'll have a more explicit message, or at least clarify the existing message.
Do you believe that the film really lived into those reviews of it as it being like a rebuke of the misinterpretation of the first?
I don't know if you want to get into like what the thesis of the film is now. What I'll say is that
I'm the captain now.
There are aspects of that in the film. So
okay. Well, that's enough. We can come back to it.
Yeah, well, I can talk a little bit about the premise.
Oh, first you don't want to talk about it, then you want to talk about it. I was just going to ask you, well, why don't you set the scene and tell us what the premise is about?
I'll set the scene. I'll set the scene. So...
Making me break character.
The first Joker, as I mentioned, ends with this crime spree where Joker murders a late night host on live television, played by Robert De Niro.
Oh, wow.
Yet again another
another very Scorsese kind of element.
Exactly,
okay.
A very Scorsese, like it's very obviously referencing King of Comedy, which a very similar thing happens there. Although De Niro is like the Joker.
Never
character
seen
in
it.
that
Didn't
film.
say I wasn't gonna.
But yeah, like it ends with that crime spree, and at the beginning of Folie à Deux, Arthur Fleck, aka Joker, is in Arkham Prison, which is like the fictional Batman prison where all the criminals stay, and he's on trial for the murders, basically. Something that does play into kind of like litigating what the first movie was about is that there are literal witnesses, like people who were present in the first movie, and they're testifying about like whether or not Arthur is a good person.
Character witnesses. Right.
There's a character played by Zazie Beetz, famously of Atlanta, also featured in the Deadpool films. She is Arthur Fleck's neighbor in the first film, and he has like this weird infatuation with her that is not reciprocated.
Very incel.
And she gets on the stand and she's like, after Joker became this like phenomenon, basically, and he created this like series of followers, and while she's giving this testimony, there's like a whole bunch of Joker fans that are like in the audience, right? And they're there to support him. They're like, yeah, Joker, we love this guy. Obviously symbolic of the fans. She's like, people were calling me, giving me death threats, telling me that it was my fault that Joker committed these murders because I didn't reciprocate like his advances. That was like very explicitly a message, I think, to the people who saw the first Joker.
Right.
And were like, Joker's a hero. This character is wrong for like treating him poorly. Like he was right to have killed those people. Like it seemed like a very obvious
a pointed response
to that. Right. So it did do that for sure in the film.
Okay. Well, that's good to know. But why don't you give me a general premise of this movie? Set the scene for me and tell me like where are we in the story of Joker?
Yeah, so Joker is in prison. He's on trial for his multiple murders. While he's in prison, the warden of the prison that he is been interred in is very interested in song. Like his hobby is that he sings.
Just what everybody wants, a fucking noisy prison guard.
So the prison guard signs him up for, they have like this program in the lower security regions of the prison to like sing as a mode of therapy. And the guard signs up Arthur in a scheme to get him to sing, right? He's like, I want to sing, so I'm going to sign up this famous prisoner into this program. While he's in this program, he meets Harleen Quinn. Sorry.
Dr. Harleen Quinn.
Wait, this is actually a great opportunity for a correction because I've been saying Harleen Quinn this whole time. Her full name is actually Harleen Quinzel is her full name.
Oh.
So he meets Harleen Quinzel, who in this film goes by Lee, as in Harley. So she goes by Lee, played by Lady Gaga.
Oh, of course. This sounds like a very Gaga
They gotta
thing.
make it different,
So I'm sure she refers to herself as Lee.
And essentially, they quote-unquote fall in love, or I should say at least Arthur falls in love with her. And he begins becoming more comfortable with singing because she's like encouraging him. And the singing, there's kind of two different types of musical numbers. There's like in the actual world of the film, Arthur Fleck and or Harleen Lee are singing in the world of the film, which does happen sometimes. Classic musical thing where people will be talking and then suddenly they start singing and there's music coming into the background,
It's your favorite kind of movie.
And then there's a second category, which is basically in Arthur's delusions, where like the screen goes black and suddenly we come up and there's like a stage and there's stage setting and he's in full Joker makeup and Lee is also in full Harley Quinn makeup and they're doing like a big 70s like a Sonny and Cher type show where they're singing and riffing off each other comedically. Like this is his delusion that's happening.
Got it.
So the trial continues. Harley is continuously encouraging him to embrace the Joker persona, which is obviously bad for his defense because his defense is trying to make the argument that he is insane so that he's not competent to stand trial. And if he says, I am Joker, like me and Joker are the same person, it's not like a delusion that I have, then he can't, stand as an insane person. So it's a toxic relationship, to say the least.
To say the least. So in this film, Dr. Lee Quinzel is like a therapist, a musicologist. What is her role in this?
Well, she's a fellow prisoner. So he meets her in...
Oh, she's a prisoner.
He meets her in prison as another member of this allegedly therapeutic singing program. Yeah.
I didn't realize this. A mixed gender prison. Does that happen often?
Well, another weird thing about this, the original Joker and this one, is that it's kind of set in the 70s. Although I think there were probably separate gender prisons that early as well. But remember, this singing program happened only in the lower security regions of the prison. So I think arguably that's why. I don't think that like Lee was in a cell with a man, for example. I think it was that they were all brought together into this low security area of the prison.
I'm fascinated by the fact that someone who murdered another person on live television is considered low security.
Well, he is in high security, but he's only brought to low security by this prison warden who wants to sing himself.
And I'm confused as to why this prison warden wants to sing and chooses to use this outlet at the prison rather than joining, I don't know, a men's choir or something.
Geoff, what I will say is there's no context given for this man's life outside of his work. Okay, let me just be clear. I didn't really like this movie, so I don't want to appear like I'm arguing for this movie, but I think that the intent is that the prison guard is working a lot at Arkham Asylum. And for that reason, he doesn't have a lot of time to pursue his hobbies outside of work.
Okay.
And that's why he signed him up.
Interesting. Okay. Why don't you get into spoilers?
All right. Well, I'll put in a quick spoiler warning here. Hey, y'all. Editor Justin here. If you want to skip Joker Folie do spoilers, which, I mean, do you, but you really don't have to watch this movie, you can skip to 109:40. All right, let's go back to the pod.
Spoilers abound, F-slurs. Okay.
And let's get into spoilers.
I'm ready to hear about it. Yeah.
Eventually, Harley, I keep calling her Harley, but Lee gets into Arthur's head enough such that he goes full Joker. He is like, I'm firing my lawyer and I'm representing myself in this trial. And I'm representing myself as Joker. In like an absolutely kind of like, it totally defies reality, but it's very comic books moment. He shows up to the courtroom in like Joker makeup and like his red suit. And the judge is like, I guess you have the right to dress up however you want as your own lawyer. So I guess we'll allow it. And it's literally like Joker versus Harvey Dent in the courtroom because Harvey Dent is the DA who's pursuing the charges against Joker. So it's very comic books. It was...
Okay.
He defends himself very unsuccessfully.
No kidding. You know what? I love it when a completely deranged person's like, I'm representing myself. I'm like, oh, that's a good idea.
It's not a good idea.
That's going to go well for you.
It's not a good idea.
It's never a good idea. Let's just say that. If listeners, dear, if any of you are ever in a situation where you're unhappy with your representation in a court of law, I would ask you to really fully, unless you have, I don't know, a Juris Doctorate and several years of work as an attorney in a trial situation, to not represent yourself. Seek alternative representation because you will not do a good job.
It's not a good idea. And it was not a good idea for Arthur in this case. He is completely incoherent. He's like trying to make jokes and the jokes are always like aggressively bad. Not just like, haha, dad joke, like this is bad, like fully bad, which was a continued thing from the first one. But again, the point of the first one was to make us feel sympathy for him. It's like he's delusional, like he's not actually funny. We should feel bad for him. That continues here when he's representing himself. And it's just it's a little painful to watch.
This is very thick irony.
So Joker represents himself. It's unsuccessful. Right before the verdict is about to go down, he goes back to prison. And for some reason that is not very well explained in the film, he has a change of heart. And there is a reprisal of a scene from the first movie, which you might have seen in like memes. In the first movie...
When he's running down the stairs?
No, not the stairs. Although they do bring the stairs back as well. But in the first movie, there's a scene where he's in the bathroom and he's like putting on the Joker face paint for the first time. And it's like he's assuming the role of Joker. And it's like this... Okay. It's very like in the moment empowering for him because he's like, I finally feel empowered. I finally feel like my own person. Like I'm doing something. In this film, even though he's in prison... He has like a delusion almost, although it's not a delusion because he's like he's shedding the facade of Joker. It doesn't actually make any sense. This is like a big moment where I was like, this is a failure of a film. He like kind of flashes back to the same bathroom where he was putting on the Joker face paint in the first film, and he just washes off the face paint. Which, by the way, not nearly as dramatic as putting on the face paint. He just like washes his face, and then it cuts back to him in the prison. And I was like, that was kind of weird. And then he shows up in court the next day and he is giving like his closing arguments to the jury because he's representing himself. And he was basically like, you know what, y'all, Joker is not real. I did the murders. It was me. And Joker is a delusion. Peace. For some reason, all of a sudden had a change of heart despite all of Lee's manipulations of him. And it really wasn't well established in the film why he did this. But it was seemingly built up as a big twist that he would do this.
What's happening with Lee while he's on trial? Is she just singing in prison?
Well, that's another problem I had with the movie was that Lady Gaga is very underused. In like 3/4 of the movie, she's just kind of like sitting in the audience during the trial.
How'd she get out of prison?
Oh, Geoff, I didn't bring this up because it is another huge weakness in the film. But it turns out that Lee checked herself into prison.
What?
Right? She did so only to get to Arthur and seduce him, basically. And she told him lies about why she was there. She was like, my parents were also abusive, just like yours. That was a lie. The lie detector test determined. Turns out she's like very rich, which is not Arthur's upbringing. They even make a mention that like she grew up on the Upper East Side or something like that. Eventually, Arthur finds out about this through his lawyer. And he confronts Lee, and she's like, yeah, I was lying, but I still love you, I promise. And Arthur's like, okay. So she still shows up behind him and is like supporting him throughout. I should say she checked herself out of the prison, like voluntarily. And then after that happened, she was just like sitting there watching the trial happen, basically. while he was representing himself.
Justin, this sounds completely coconuts.
Let me get through the plot and then we can talk about how I felt about it, but I don't disagree. During his quote-unquote final argument, she's sitting in the audience and she has like full like Harley Quinn makeup on, you know, similar to his Joker makeup. And when he says that Joker isn't real, she like stands up, looks at him, and then like very dramatically walks out of the courtroom. She's like, I do not support this anymore. Again, the character motivations here are so opaque because it was very clear that she was there for Joker. From the beginning, she was there because she was attracted to Joker. Although how, don't really know. What her motives were, don't really know, whatever.
Yep.
Why was he surprised to see her walk out of the courtroom? Like, it might have been a more powerful decision if he was intentionally rejecting Lee and also rejecting the Joker facade, right? But that didn't seem to be the case here. Instead, he was just like, I think Joker is bad, and I actually think he's a delusion, but I still want to be with Lee.
And Lee said later days.
Yeah, Lee was like, I'm out. So after this argument is made, shockingly, a bomb goes off, and an entire side of the courtroom blows up and collapses. And Arthur kind of escapes. He's like very dazed. And he runs into a bunch of his supporters who are like, you know, are anarchists. They're like big supporters of Joker, basically. Yep. He basically, you know, he still doesn't think Joker's a real thing. So he's like trying to escape from them after a certain point. And then he gets captured by the cops. And then he's back in jail. So why did the bomb happen? I don't know. Probably just for there to be a climax. We needed an explosion in a superhero movie, basically.
Oh, God.
In the end of the film, a supporter of his who was a prisoner was like, I blame you for killing Joker because you said it was a delusion. And he shanks Arthur until he dies. And that's the end of the film, is that Joker dies. So that's the plot.
Okay, what the fuck? This doesn't make any sense. If this is supposed to be like a Joker origin story, so what, we think that the Joker that's later featured in all the Batman movies, like, is a person who, like, assumed this identity and, like, revived this character?
Well, the original Joker was very clearly like a separate, again, this is like a separate universe. It's like an alternate universe.
I don't like this.
Where,
I don't like that.
You know, there's no Batman. It's just Joker. It's set in the 70s, so it's like a very different timeline than most of the modern superhero films.
Boo.
It was never intended to be like an origin story for like Heath Ledger's Joker, for example. Like it was never intended to be something like that. It was more like a separate story about Joker set in a different timeline.
I don't like this. This sounds fully bad. What did you think of this film?
I think what happened here is that somebody had what is admittedly a great idea, which is let's cast Lady Gaga as Harley Quinn. And then they made a film out of it. They were like, we have no other thoughts other than Lady Gaga is Harley Quinn. And then let's make a movie.
Lady Gaga is Harley
Quinn. Yeah. It felt like they had to make a musical because Lady Gaga was in it.
Okay.
There is an inherent tension with all the musical numbers because this movie thematically is like very objectively like anti-delusion. I think in most musicals, the musical numbers are supposed to represent either an escape from reality that is like a positive escape from reality where it's like, this is where I can really be my true self, or it represents like a heightened reality, right? Where it's like I'm having this emotional moment or this incredible moment and it's being represented by song.
La La Land.
Right. In this film, every single musical number represents a toxic aspect of either him and Lee's relationship or of literally Arthur's delusions. So every time that like a musical number came up, it didn't feel good to me. Like I couldn't even enjoy the music because I was like, this is a dark film about how we shouldn't be feeding into Joker's delusions.
Yeah, what kind of music was it? What were some of the songs? Were they covers? Was it original scoring?
They were covers. A lot of those covers were the same songs that Lady Gaga performed on her companion album, Harlequin.
Oh.
Although I will say most of the songs were performed by Joaquin Phoenix, not by Lady Gaga.
Interesting.
Lady Gaga was so underused in this film.
Okay, percentage-wise, what would you say she had for screen time in that film?
Well, I was hoping it would be like 50-50. Like, this seemed to me like a co-star situation where it'd be like half about Harley Quinn, half about Joker. It was absolutely not that. Lady Gaga's character, Lee, was like not even a character. Her character motivations were very obscure. I still don't know what her goals were.
Yeah.
Other than just being like a generic feminine manipulator. In terms of like time on screen, she probably was on screen for like generously a quarter of the movie, I would say.
Wow, that's very low.
Her biggest presence was in those like fantasy sequences that Arthur had.
Okay.
And those were really the only good performances that she gave, because a lot of the time she was like whisper singing in those like real life musical numbers.
Yeah.
Because to seem like pseudo realistic.
Sure.
She only really belted a couple times and like showed off her vocal chops,
talent.
which is weird because like, why do you hire Lady Gaga to do that type of performance?
Do you feel like there was a lot of the movie that was like left on the cutting room floor, and that's why she wasn't in it very much, or why she like wasn't used well?
Well, I'll say that this is not a short movie. It was like 2 hours and 20 minutes.
Oh, Mama, please. That was half the reason I was like, I cannot subject myself to this, because that's so much time.
It's not like insanely long. It's not like Killers
It's like
of the Flower
a fucking
Moon long.
unedited Lord of the Rings movie.
Yeah, it wasn't like 4 hours like one of those, but it was
Close
long.
enough. 2.5 hours.
I do think they probably cut some stuff, like, because there are questions I had. Like, again, that turn that Arthur makes in the final act where he decides to shed the Joker persona, that didn't make any sense to me in the theater. I was like, was there supposed to be build up to this?
You know what else didn't make sense in the theater?
What's that?
Lauren Boebert. Lauren Boebert jacking off in the theater.
Hard left turn.
Jacking off in the theater.
Doesn't make sense.
Boobs felt up in the theater. When you're a public representative of the United States of America, jerking off to Beetlejuice in the theater? Weird shit. Anyway, back to you.
Yeah, there was a lot of stuff that didn't make sense. And again, Lee's characterization, absolutely no sense. I think in most mainstream DC Comics storylines, whether that be animation, live action, or comics, Harley Quinn is a partner of Joker's who is infatuated with him, and he is the abusive partner.
Interesting.
And she eventually becomes liberated from him. Like, she has a enlightenment, and she's like, I don't need to be with Joker. I can be my own person. And that's like a big character point for her. And this was like the exact opposite, where Lee was just being manipulative of Arthur for like unclear reasons. They never really explicitly said why she wanted him. She wasn't like a hardcore anarchist, and she was kind of just like well off. And there's a moment, I should have mentioned this, at the end of the film. After Arthur's escaped from the courthouse, but before he's back in prison, he finds Lee. And he's like, hey, we should run away together. Lee's like, no, I'm not interested anymore, even though I was so allegedly obsessed with you before, like, because Joker is dead. And I should say, this is on the Joker steps. So this is where they bring back the Joker steps.
And then after that, did he run away like, bouncing around on the steps like he did in the first movie?
No, then the cops show up and they arrest him. It's literally like the cops pull up at the bottom of the steps. It feels like Todd Phillips, the director of this film, and also a co-writer of the film, didn't want to be making this, because it felt like he was like, I already made my argument in the first film, and I kind of hate the fact that I have to hammer home what I was trying to get across now.
Yeah. I can understand how that must be frustrating.
Then don't make the film. That's what I mean. Like, it sounds like somebody had the great idea of casting Lady Gaga, and then after that they were like, well, we gotta make a movie out of this. I guess it should be a musical. Like, the musical aspect added nothing to the film. The performances, like, Lady Gaga did the best with what she was given, but the performances were really not that great.
Oh, shit.
It's more to do with the direction and
the writing
than it has to do with like her voice.
Well, it sounds like there was virtually no plot.
The entire film took place either in Arkham Prison or in the courtroom.
That's so boring as a viewer.
It's very boring. Again, it felt like they only had that final act explosion in the courthouse just to like have something happen.
Some kind of like excitement, action.
And it was at the same time trying to keep Arthur a sympathetic character and also make it clear that he's not the hero. Like, it felt like the movie was at war with itself in that way.
I was literally just going to say that.
It felt like it was at war with itself because it felt like a musical that hates musicals. Because it is thematically saying, like, all these musical numbers are bullshit. Garbage, and toxic.
Yeah. Yep.
And then it's like, but you should still watch it and enjoy it. Meanwhile, I'm sitting in my movie seat being like, am I supposed to be liking this?
Was it at all humorous?
The tone of the film is very dark. And there was exactly one moment that I laughed at that I'm unclear if it was an intentional laugh or not.
Tell me about it.
But there is a moment where Lee is being interviewed by, I will say, Lee and Joker's relationship becomes public to the press. Lee is being interviewed by a reporter at the courthouse. somebody asks her, like, what are you and Joker going to do if he gets freed after this trial? And she says, like, we're going to build a mountain. And then, like, it goes to a wide shot and she, like, walks out of the crowd where she was being interviewed. And then one reporter's like, what does that even mean?
That is, like, such a Gaga response. I know she ad-libbed that. That was not written.
Well, it's the name of a song that she performed in one of her numbers. But Ben and I both laughed so hard at that in the theater. Like, and it was just a weird movie, dude. I don't know how it got made. It seems like it's going to be a box office flop based on opening weekend numbers.
Oh, no. Justin, tell me about the numbers. You're always the numbers guy.
So let me put this in context. Okay, so the first Joker made about $40 million on the first day of release.
Wow, that's great.
After its first weekend, it had almost $100 million.
Damn.
In its opening weekend. Compared to the first Joker's $40 million first day, Folie made $20 million on its first day. So it made half the amount on the first day.
That's tough.
I got to tell you, based on word of mouth, I don't feel like this one is going to make a lot following opening weekend.
Sorry to this man. This man being Warner Brothers.
I'm not really sorry for Warner Brothers. They deserve it, but...
Sorry to Lady Gaga.
I know. I feel bad for Lady Gaga. She was wasted both in her vocal talent and in her acting chops because she was barely in the movie. I can't express that enough.
That's tough. But what about her album, her companion album, Harlequin?
Have you listened to it?
I did listen to about half of it.
I listened to the whole thing exactly once.
Yep.
I don't really know how to judge an album like this because I'm not a big jazz standards person.
Sure. And she is, famously.
Right, it's like a passion of hers, which is another reason.
She absolutely loves jazz and big bands.
I was like, maybe Folie will be good because it's like a passion of hers and she'll be doing these covers. The performances on that album are much better than the performances in the film. Like, she full sends it on the album.
Yeah.
If you're into that kind of music, to me, like, as an outside observer, she really killed it. And there are, I think, 2 original songs on the album, both of which I thought were pretty good.
Well, you know what? Good for her. I hope that Harlequin does better than Joker Folie does, because it sounds like it's well-deserved. You know what? Here's my thing with Gaga. She is always so good when it comes to music. I feel like she's like a C+, B- actor. Sometimes she's really great. She has moments that are excellent. And other times it's like very put upon and like kind of silly and like feels very like theater kid-ish. I will say when she's given full creative control, she is masterful because she's able to fully execute and like live into the performance balls to the wall. Because it's like fully her creation. She knows like she is going to get out of it what she puts into it.
Well, she goes big. Right? Like, whenever she has a character, she's 100%. A big actor. Her performances are big.
Who could forget Joe Calderone at the VMAs? Joe Calderone.
But yeah, the Harlequin album was really good. Not my kind of music, but the performances are great. She also did interesting things with genre, where some of these jazz standards had, like, rock elements to them. And so I enjoyed
Gearing
that.
up for LG7.
Yeah.
I think it's going to be a rock-inspired electronic album. That's my thought. Like, similar to, like, Born This Way.
But yeah, that's my thoughts. I mean, it's an interesting flop of a movie, even if it is bad.
Yeah.
I'll be interested to see what happens to this category of superhero film that's not like the mainline universe, right? This is not a part of like the same universe of like Superman. Similar to the way that the Batman came out starring Robert Pattinson a few years ago.
What was that about?
That movie was actually really good, in my opinion. That was basically doing David Fincher 7, but make it Batman. But it was much more interesting than we're doing Taxi Driver, but make it Batman. I did enjoy it a lot more. That's another podcast episode.
I didn't think it was great.
You watched that one?
I surely did.
Damn.
Zoe Kravitz and Robert Pattinson.
I mean,
Robert Pattinson.
They're both hot.
Hottie patati.
Okay, hotter Catwoman.
Okay.
Halle Berry or Zoe Kravitz?
Zoe Kravitz.
Okay.
What say you?
I also think Zoe Kravitz, but I think it might be a generational thing. Because I feel like Halle Berry is like one of the sexiest women to ever live, just based on the culture.
It's so interesting. A lot of people say that about her, but I've just never seen it.
I think it might be a generational
I mean, I think
thing.
She's beautiful, but I don't get it. I don't get like full on sex appeal.
The sex appeal, yeah.
Wasn't she also a Bond girl?
She was, yeah.
Yeah, maybe I had to see her in that context. I never watched the Pierce Brosnan years of Bond.
I think we've wrapped up our Joker conversation.
Wow. Once again, Justin is trying to take the reins Even though I'm the interviewer and he's the interviewee, guess what, Justin? I think this interview's over. I said it first, point for me.
So you agree. It's time to take a break.
I do agree that it's time to take a break. I'll give you that 1 point for you.
All right, we'll be right back with our What's Goods.
And we're back.
We are back, and I hope that you all enjoyed listening to the recap of Folie Deux more than I enjoyed watching it.
I also hope that, because it sounds like you did not have a good time, bro.
It's a very weird movie. It's a weird movie. I'm glad I watched it, but I don't
And you know what?
recommend...
I'm glad I didn't watch it.
Yeah, it was a good decision.
But, Tina, we've talked about so many different things this episode. We talked about, of course, the underuse of Lady Gaga.
We have.
We talked about Dr. Harleen Lee Quinzel.
We have.
We talked about Joaquin Phoenix's propensity for weird shit.
We have.
We also talked about, speaking of weird shit, we talked about the Diddy tape.
Oh, God.
We also talked about, speaking of more weird shit, we talked about fucking Luke Bryan. I never trust a man with 2 first names. That's a direct quote from me, point for me. And we also talked about the excitement around Charli's remix album.
We did.
And now it's time, Justin, for us to talk about a little something else that we like to discuss on every podcast.
Mm-hmm.
Do you know what it is?
I think I do, but I'm waiting.
Justin, it's a little something called What's Good?
And
so, Justin, I'd like for you to start this week and tell us what's good.
Well, Geoff, I would love to tell you what's good, but before I do, I just remembered that we actually got an email from a listener that I would like to bring up.
Are they international, since we're now an internationally acclaimed podcast?
She did not mention where she's writing in from.
Okay.
But she did mention her name.
Okay, who is it?
Which is Brittany.
Okay. What did Miss Brittany have to say?
So Brittany wrote it, and I have to say there's some weirdly personal information about my life that I'm not really sure how Brittany found out about.
Oh, okay, Brittany.
Yes.
Okay.
So Brittany said, I'll read the whole email.
Perfect.
Hello there. I have been a dedicated listener since the beginning of the pod.
Strong start.
Just finished the fall episode, which was excellent. Fall is hot. Thank you, Brittany.
We agree.
However, I noticed a misrepresentation about the timeline of the improvement of Justin's apartment in New York City.
Okay, here we go. I have a feeling now I understand who Brittany is.
It has been brought to my attention that the condition of filth drastically improved once Brandy moved in.
Really? You don't say, Brittany.
She tried her best to scrub the caked food on the walls of the kitchen and always kept the apartment as organized as possible. Also, once they moved into a new place, it was always clean and ready for guests. Let's be honest, most straight men don't improve their cleanliness until they move in with a woman. Thank you. Looking forward to next week's episode. Best, Brittany.
Wow, Brittany, I'm so glad you wrote it.
Brittany,
I love an opportunity to dunk on Justin.
Brittany, how do you know this amount of information about my personal life?
That is strangely specific. Not sure what's going on there.
Yeah, so I do want to respond to this.
You better check your house for hidden cameras.
I do want to respond to this.
Okay, all right. What have you to say?
I will say, Brittany, you're absolutely right that Brandy was a huge influence on my lifestyle as soon as she moved in. So I'm not disputing that. But I do think that I also, as a person, have gotten more clean and more effective at cleaning compared to when I first, moved into my apartment in New York, which is around the time that Geoff, famously noticed my teabag pillow and forced me to buy a new one at Macy's.
Excuse me. You are rewriting this narrative here.
Oh, did I forget the
I
story?
bought those pillows.
Right,
that's why I said it was an act of charity.
You bought the pillow. I remember. Yes, that was a
pillows.
I misspoke.
I never purchased one pillow. You must have 2 at least.
Yes. I'm just saying that, it wasn't an entirely Brandy-centric transformation. I think that definitely contributed, but it wasn't only that. But I do respect and appreciate Brandy's contribution to that change. Absolutely.
Yeah, okay, we get it. You don't need to fucking finger blast her on the pod here.
Okay, well, now that we got that listener email out of the way, let's talk about what's good.
Yeah, Justin, what's good?
So I'm going to talk about some music today.
Oh, so will I.
I'm going to talk about a new EP from the artist Googly Eyes, who is, I would say, an up-and-coming producer, singer, songwriter, who was formerly known as the songwriter Deza, spelled D-E-Z-A.
Wait, I actually know Deza.
Yeah. Deza has written songs for many pop stars in the past and is also produced music for people.
Wow.
And for a long time, Googly Eyes was her side project. And actually, I found out about Googly Eyes before I found out about Deza, because she was just creating these like really interesting, she called them demos, but she was releasing them on Spotify and, streaming services. But they were often like a minute long, and they just had this feeling of like playfulness and like experimentation with her production that was like incredible, honestly. Like, she has such a knack for making electronic, future-based sounding beats, but with a pop sensibility. She has an ear for great hooks and for great chord progressions. She had been making these demos for a long time. I came across her last year, and I guess recently, Tuvalu discovered her.
I'm so sorry. Every time I hear Tuvalu, I just picture Megan Thee Stallion be like, Tuvalu, hit it!
But Tuvalu apparently discovered her through these demos, and she was like, I want to sign you, basically. So Googly Eyes, the side project, is now the main project. And she has been signed to Tuvalu's record label, which is called Pretty Swede Records, which I think is very accurate for Tuvalu.
Perfectly accurate.
Yeah, so she recently put out an EP called Starlit, which is, I would just say, an absolute banger.
Banger count.
Banger count 1 for the episode, I think.
I would say that's probably about count 37 for the series.
Who knows? Might be more than that.
Could be.
Let us know in the comments. But the EP has 6 songs, and I'm going to talk about 2 songs today. 2 of my favorites from the EP. First one is called Internet Star, which is all about kind of her previous persona as Deza and how she didn't really hit the mainstream and how she has like insecurities about that.
Oh, Charli XCX coded.
Yeah, very Charli XCX. I would say I once described this to our friend Gilly, who was famously the host of the Brat episode that we recorded.
I don't think I've ever met her.
I describe Googly Eyes as like a mashup of Taylor Swift and Charli, because she has the pop like hook sensibility of Taylor Swift, but has like the sonic like experimentation energy of Charli. If that hooks you, definitely give it a listen.
Sounds like Sympathy's a Knife.
But Internet Star starts off very slow. It's just like a vocal. There's a lot of like interesting little bleeps and bloops to give it some atmosphere and texture.
No, I love the bleep bloops.
And then slowly in the background, we get these like angelic vocal choral chops.
Ooh, choir.
That are like emphasizing
Choir
this recurring hook of like Internet Star. And at about the halfway point, about like a minute in, there's this like incredible like lilting drum kick that kicks in that is just like legendary. I think this is the most popular song on the EP. It's gorgeous. Legendary. It is lyrically interesting. It's a bop.
Describing a kick drum as lilting is very interesting to me. I can't really picture what that sounds like, so I'm gonna have to just listen.
Well, I'll say that the kick drum itself is it's just like, 1, 2, 3, 4, but it's the hi-hats that make it lilting. It's like, it's a very interesting banger. Banger count 2. The second song I want to talk about is called Brand New Bitch. And this song is so fucking good. Like, I think this will be the hit off the EP, if there is a hit off the EP. It's just about, it's very like, it feels very Von Dutch, where it's basically just Googly Eyes talking about how she's a brand new bitch. And like, if you don't like what I'm putting down, you can just like not listen to the song, basically. Very simple lyrically, but it has this like addictive hook where she just goes like, hi, hello, 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 I'm a brand new bitch. If you like me, if you don't, and the kick is like very simple. It's just like boom, boom, which is like a very like weird pop kick, but it has this groove that like makes you want to move your hips. Like it almost feels like tropical in like a reggaeton type of way. The snare is like almost non-existent. So it's like insane to me that it has this like movement to it that I almost can't describe.
What you're describing to me reminds me of, I won't butcher her name because I've never learned how to pronounce it properly, but I think it's Lee Kelly, 47.
Oh, yeah. Do
you know who I'm talking about?
I do.
Money. Yeah. I got money.
Yeah.
She has a couple of songs that sound like what you're describing, like that sound with the bass bump, 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 bump.
Yeah. And there's a lot of like vocal harmonies going on at the same time where she like layers her own vocals with herself.
Oh, okay, Ariana Beyonce.
Lots of interesting production going on, of course.
Bitch acting like she's brand new out here.
Yeah. It's really good. I think that when I play the clip in the pod, I think people will be addicted. So yeah, highly recommend Starlet by Googly Eyes. I think she's one to watch. Like in the next couple of years, I think she'll have like a real hit level single. Like she's been one I've been watching since last year, and it's this EP I think is a real moment for her.
I love that. I'm gonna listen to it right after this for real.
Yeah.
Can't wait.
Okay. So Geoff.
Yes.
The time has come in the pod.
Yes.
To ask you a very important question, which is,
of course,
what is good with you this week?
Well, so much is good with me this week, as always.
As always.
But there's one thing in particular that I want to discuss. Justin, you might know this about me already, but I love New Music Friday. I fucking love it. I live for it, honey. So you better believe this week, when I was listening to my New Music Friday playlist, I was scrolling through the song titles as I always do because, you know what? Here's my thing. This is my gripe about Spotify, and I'm sure it's probably true of all the streamers. Amazon Music, Apple Music, the rest. They certainly have like a bit of paid promotion going on here where like some of the biggest artists are the first to appear at the playlist. They're always at the top, so they're most likely to have exposure.
Drake.
But I always like to exactly. Coldplay this week. Come on.
Fucking Katy Perry.
Give up the goddamn ghost. Give up the ghost, Coldplay. It's over for you. You peaked at yellow. Move on. Okay, so I like to scroll through a little bit. And this one, admittedly, was pretty close to the top, but the name of the song really stood out to me. The song is called Moonlit Floor, which is a lyric from one of my favorite songs of all time, Kiss Me by Sixpence None the Richer. And this song, Moonlit Floor, is a fun disco song that interpolates Sixpence None the Richer's Kiss Me.
Kiss me under the Paris twilight. Kiss me out on the moonlit.
I fucking love that song. We talked about this when I talked about Juno on the Sabrina Carpenter episode. It has rom-com energy. Yeah, it's like the classic, one of the classic rom-com songs.
Yes, we did talk about that. Yeah, I love that song. That's one of my favorites from the 90s. But anyway, this song is by Lisa, all capitals, Lisa, who was a member of BLACKPINK, might still be a member of BLACKPINK. I don't know if she is, or I don't know if they've disbanded, or if she's just doing a solo project now, or if it's just a side project. I'm not sure. I also don't really care, because what I care about is this song is so fun. It is like full disco. Like it sounds like straight out of like the early 80s, but with like a today's pop girl voice. Like Lisa definitely sings like today's pop girlies. It's a really fun song. It's like got a groovy beat to it. Oh my god, I sound like a grandpa. It's got a groovy beat, kids. Listen up, that'll get your foot tapping. Anyways, I just think it's so fun. It's a wonderful interpretation. I'm so thrilled that Kiss Me is getting some recognition among the Gen Z and Gen Alpha crowd because it's a wonderful bop. So I'm really glad that Lisa decided to interpolate and rework the melody for the song a bit. It's great.
I'm actually so interested in the fact that you also have been turned on to Lisa because I'm familiar with K-pop artists. I'm not like a huge fan or whatever. But this song came across my radar. I forget exactly why, but it's the song Rockstar, which is also by Lisa.
Lisa, yeah.
Which has this like, it feels almost a little bit cringe in that it feels very 2010s. It's like a rap pop like crossover song because Lisa's like a rapper in BLACKPINK. It feels a little bit 2010s, and I feel like I shouldn't like it, but I really do.
You know what? Speaking of BLACKPINK and Lady Gaga this episode, did you know that they did a song together?
Of course. Is it called Sour Candy, or is that just a lyric?
It's called Sour Candy, and it's off of Lady Gaga's album from 2020.
It's an excellent song, and
So Sour Candy.
There is a Muramasa remix of that song that's really fucking a banger. I think I mashed it up with truffle butter
Yes.
Because it sounds a lot like that song.
Yes, it does sound a lot like truffle butter, the beat of it. Yeah, absolutely. And you know what I also love about Sour Candy? Actually, what I love about that whole album, Chromatica by Lady Gaga, sorry, we're jumping all over the place here, but what I love about that album is that it sounds like it could have come out, I would say 30 years ago. That album sounds like it could have come out 30 years ago. And if you just like swapped out a few of the instruments to instruments that were hot in that era, it really sounds like a 90s dance album. It's amazing. Justice for Chromatica.
I love Chromatica. That's like one of my favorite Gaga records, honestly.
Me too.
Yeah.
It's so underrated, though.
It was one of those ones that got eaten by the pandemic, for
By
sure.
the Pandemi Lovato. She
Yep.
loves to come out of nowhere and eat his shit up. Ate all the good culture. Except for Tiger King.
All right, well, I think this is the end of the episode.
Justin, again, I need to remind you that I'm in charge. I'm Hoda Kotb. I decided just now of my own volition. I think that we're done here.
Okay. Well,
Justin, I want to thank you so much for being here today.
so happy to be interviewed, Geoff.
It's always a pleasure to see you, and it's always a pleasure to hear your hot takes on today's hottest music and movies.
I do love giving the hot takes. I do.
So thank you so much, Justin. And next, after the commercial break, you're going to hear us give our little closeout for the end of today's episode.
That's exactly right, Geoff.
Justin, you actually don't talk now because I already thanked you for coming and you're done. And now I'm hosting and talking to the audience.
Okay,
So that's how
bye.
that works.
Thank you,
Bye.
Geoff. Host of BANTS. Sole host of BANTS.
Solo host, don't forget it. All right, now again, on my own volition, I'm ending the episode. Goodbye. We'll be right back.
This has been BANTS with Geoff and Justin. BANTS is-
Excuse me. Excuse me, Justin.
Yeah.
Justin, can you just come here real quick again?
Mm-hmm.
Okay, remember, I just fucking told you to shut the fuck up and this is my show, and that I'm gonna do the closeout because you're the guest and you're already done. Do you get it?
Oh, all yours. All yours.
Thank you so much. I appreciate it. This has been BANTS with Geoff and Justin. BANTS is created and produced by Jeff Taylor and Justin.
BANTS is created and produced by Jeff Taylor and Justin Benavidez. Graphic design by Jeff Taylor. Editing by Justin Benavidez. The theme music for BANTS is the track Time With You by Talif featuring Rule. That's spelled RVLE, and is provided by No Copyright Sounds. Email us at bantspod@gmail.com with any questions, recommendations, or just to say hi. If you like the podcast, rate and review us on Apple or Spotify. And tell your friends. Bye.
Bye. Hey, Justin, could you come here for a second? Just like really quick.
Uh-huh.
If you ever fucking do that again, you will never be on my show again. Do you understand me? I will fucking end you. You will have no career. I will blacklist you from all the NBC's outlets.
NBC.
Yeah, didn't you know?
Is this the
We're
Today
owned by
Show?
NBC. Yeah, don't forget it, because my name's Hoda Kotb.
Hoda Kotb is literally threatening me right now.
Yeah, because I'm fucking magnificent and very powerful in media.